This is Course 2, Lesson 6.4, Finding Percent of a Number. Get your notebooks out and get ready to take some notes. Today's learning target is, by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to find and estimate the percent of a number. So a couple things that you need to know before we start. First of all, the word of in math means to multiply. So anytime you see the word of, you're going to change that to multiplication. And when we do these problems, we always need to change percents to decimals. And remember that we move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So let's try this first problem. Find 15% of 40. So the first thing we're going to do is change 15% to a decimal. We move that 2 places to the left. So now that's 0.15 or 15 hundredths. Of means times, so we're going to multiply 15 hundredths by 40. So you can use your calculator. Clear this out here. 0.15 times 40. Work. 0.15 times 40 is equal to 6. So 15% of 40 is 6. Let's look at this one here. Find 80% of 460. So 80% is pretty close to 100%. So the number that we're going to find, or the answer, should be closer to 460 than it would be to 0. So first we're going to change 80% to a decimal, which is 0.8. And of means to multiply. We're going to multiply 0.8 times 460. So on your calculator, 0.08 or 0.8 times 460, and that equals 368. Notice how this answer is not really close, but it's closer to 460 than it is to 0 because we're taking 80% of it, which is almost 100%. Here's some story problems. We deal with a lot of percents in story problems. There are 562 students at Crossroads Middle School. 75% of the students participate in after-school activities. How many students participate in after-school activities? The question is usually going to give you what the variable stands for. How many students participate in after-school activities? So that's going to be the variable. X is equal to students in after-school activities. So now we're going to go back and look at the story problem and see if we can find the sentence that's going to help us create our math sentence. So it says that there are 562 students at Crossroads. That's some important information. 75% of the students participate in after-school activities. This is what we're going to use to help us calculate the problem. 75% of the students. So how many students are there in the school? Right here, 562. So we're going to take this sentence here and make it into a math sentence. So 75% of the students participate in after-school activities. So 75% is a decimal, is 0.75. Of means times, and the number of students we're going to get up here, which is 562. And this is going to give us the total number of students that participate in after-school activities. So we have 0.75 times the number of students at Crossroads, which is 500, oops, that did not work, times 562, and that's equal to 421 and a half. So we can't really have half a student, so we'll say 421 or 422 students participate in after-school activities. Another story problem. 66% of 7th graders have a grade point average of 3.0 or higher. So right away I look at this and I realize this part is important. 66% of 7th graders have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. If there are 282 7th graders, how many students have a GPA of 3.0 or higher? So we're going to take this sentence right here and change it into a math sentence. So 66% we know is equal to 0.66. The word of here we know means times. And then we're looking for 7th graders that have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. Well, right here they tell us that 282 7th graders have a that there's 282 7th graders. So if we take the number of 7th graders and plug this in here, we will get the answer of how many 7th graders have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. So we have 0.66 times 282, which is equal to 186.12. So there are about 186 7th graders whose GPA is greater than 3.0. One more story problem. 8% of the, why don't you guys try this one on your own? Pause the video and try this problem on your own, and then we'll come back and go over it together. Okay, welcome back. 8% of the 562 students at Crossroads Middle School are school of choice students. How many students is this? Okay, so 8% of the 562 students. So we want to find out how many are school of choice, so we're going to change this into a math sentence. So 8%, we have to move the decimal point 2 places to the left. 1, 2. We don't put the decimal just right in front of the 8 because that would be 80%. So it's 0.08 times, because the word of means times, 562. So on our calculator, we'll multiply 0.08 times 562. And that equals 44.96. So there's 45 or 45 students that are school of choice. They're at Crossroads. That's all for today. If you have any questions, bring them to class tomorrow. Thanks.